The world of boxing stands still today. George Foreman, Olympic gold medalist, two-time heavyweight champion, and one of the most beloved figures in sports history, has died at 76. The man who once struck fear into opponents with his devastating power later won the hearts of millions with his warm smile and entrepreneurial spirit. Today, we don't just mourn a boxer, we celebrate a man who reinvented himself multiple times and showed us all that it's never too late to transform your life. Born January 10, 1949 in Marshall, Texas, George Foreman's early life was marked by poverty and struggle. Growing up in Houston's Fifth Ward, he dropped out of school in the 9th grade and gained a reputation as a street brawler. His life seemed headed down a dangerous path until he joined the Job Corps at 16, where a supervisor recognized his raw athletic potential and introduced him to boxing. This chance encounter would change not just Foreman's life, but boxing history itself. Foreman's natural power and determination quickly became evident. Standing 6'4", with hands like sledgehammers, he tore through the amateur ranks and earned a spot on the 1968 U.S. Olympic team. In Mexico City, he dominated the competition, winning gold in the heavyweight division. After knocking out the Soviet Union's Jonas Chepelis in the final, Foreman memorably waved a small American flag in the ring, a patriotic gesture that endeared him to the American public during a time of national division. Turning professional after the Olympics, Foreman's rise was meteoric. He won his first 37 professional fights, 34 by knockout, establishing himself as the most feared puncher in boxing. His defining moment came on January 22, 1973, in Kingston, Jamaica, when he faced undefeated champion Joe Frazier. What many expected to be a competitive fight turned into a shocking display of Foreman's devastating power. He knocked Frazier down 6 times in 2 rounds, with Howard Cosell's iconic call, "Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!" forever etched in boxing lore. At just 24, George Foreman had become the heavyweight champion of the world. Foreman's reign as champion would lead him to Kinshasa, Zaire in 1974 for what became known as the Rumble in the Jungle against Muhammad Ali. As an 8-1 favorite, Foreman was expected to easily dispatch the aging Ali, but in one of sport's greatest upsets, Ali employed his famous rope-a-dope strategy, allowing Foreman to punch himself into exhaustion before knocking him out in the 8th round. This defeat marked a turning point in Foreman's life. After losing a decision to Jimmy Young in 1977, Foreman experienced what he described as a religious epiphany in his dressing room. He retired from boxing to become an ordained minister, founding the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ in Houston. For a decade, Foreman dedicated himself to his ministry and youth outreach programs. The once intimidating champion transformed into a smiling preacher with a gentle demeanor. But financial pressures eventually led to one of the most remarkable comebacks in sports history. At age 38, 10 years after his retirement, Foreman returned to the ring in 1987 to widespread skepticism and ridicule. Heavier and slower, with a new fighting style and a new persona. Foreman persisted despite the doubters. His perseverance paid off in the most extraordinary way. On November 5, 1994, at the age of 45, Foreman knocked out 26-year-old Michael Moore to reclaim the heavyweight championship a staggering 20 years after losing it to Ali. He became the oldest heavyweight champion in history, breaking a record that had stood since Jersey Joe Walcott won the title at 37 in 1951. The image of Foreman dropping to his knees in prayer after the knockout remains one of boxing's most poignant moments. But perhaps the most remarkable chapter of Foreman's life came outside the ring. In what became one of the most successful endorsement deals in history, Foreman became the face of the George Foreman Grill. The once fearsome boxer transformed into a beloved pitch, his warm smile and affable personality helping sell over 100 million units worldwide. The grill deal reportedly earned Foreman over $200 million, far more than he ever made in boxing, and cemented his status as an American cultural icon. Throughout his later years, Foreman's family remained central to his life. He had 12 children, including 5 sons, all named George, George Jr., George III, George IV, George V, and George VI. When asked why he gave all his sons the same name, Foreman would joke, "If you're going to get hit as many times as I've been hit by Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Evander Holyfield, you're not going to remember names." But the truth revealed his deep connection to his heritage. "I wanted my sons to have something that nobody could take away from them." Foreman's journey from an impoverished childhood to the pinnacle of athletic achievement, from spiritual transformation to entrepreneurial success, embodied the American dream. His life demonstrated resilience in its purest form. Every time the world thought they had George Foreman figured out, he showed another dimension to his character. The fearsome puncher became a jovial grandfather figure. The high school dropout became a successful businessman and author. The street tough became a minister and philanthropist. What made Foreman truly special was his authenticity. Whether as the scowling champion of the 1970S or the smiling pitchman of the 1990S, he remained true to himself. His evolution wasn't calculated, it was a genuine journey of growth and self-discovery. In his autobiography, Foreman wrote, "The question I've asked more often during my life than any other is, why me? But I have ceased to ask that question since I left the ring. I look back now and realize that my life was a preparation for an extraordinary opportunity to serve." Fellow boxing legend Mike Tyson once said of Foreman, "George was a man who was angry and turned it all around. He became a beautiful person." This transformation resonated with people worldwide. Foreman showed that reinvention is possible at any age, that our past doesn't have to define our future. Foreman's boxing statistics tell only part of his story. 76 wins, 68 by knockout, 5 losses, two-time heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist. But his greatest victories came outside the ring, over anger, over financial hardship, over the limitations others placed on him. In redefining what was possible in the second half of life, he inspired millions. In his later years, Foreman remained active in his community and continued to mentor young boxers. He offered books, appeared in commercials, and remained a fixture at boxing events. Always generous with his time, he shared his wisdom and experience with anyone seeking guidance. He often said, "The greatest asset I've ever had is not my fist, it's my faith." His relationship with Muhammad Ali, once his fiercest rival, evolved into a deep friendship. They represented opposite sides of the boxing spectrum. Foreman with his raw power, Ali with his speed and skill, but came to share mutual respect and affection. When Ali was struggling with Parkinson's disease, Foreman became one of his most vocal advocates and supporters. Foreman's influence extended far beyond sports. His business acumen changed how athletes approached endorsement deals and post-career opportunities. His religious conversion inspired others seeking spiritual meaning. His commitment to his community showed how celebrity could be leveraged for positive change. Now, as we bid farewell to Big George, we're reminded that legacies aren't just built in moments of triumph, but in how we face adversity, how we evolve, and how we touch others' lives. His passing leaves a void in the boxing world and beyond, but his impact will continue to resonate through the many lives he touched. In losing George Foreman, we've lost more than a boxing champion. We've lost a man who showed us the power of transformation, the importance of resilience, and the capacity for reinvention that exists within us all. From the Olympic podium to the pulpit, from the heavyweight championship to households across America, George Foreman's journey reminded us that our greatest limitations are often the ones we place on ourselves. Whether you remember him as the intimidating champion, the smiling grill pitchman, or the wise elder statesman of boxing, George Foreman lived a life worth celebrating. A life that proved second acts aren't just possible. They can be even more magnificent than the first. In his own words, "I don't even think about a retirement program because I'm working for the Lord, for the Almighty. And you know, He isn't going to retire me." Now, at 76, George Foreman has been called home, but the legacy he leaves behind, of strength, of transformation, of genuine goodness, will continue to inspire generations to come. For those of us left behind, perhaps the greatest tribute we can pay to George Foreman is to embrace his spirit of reinvention, to believe that no matter our age or circumstances, we too can change, grow, and make our own second acts even more meaningful than our first. Thank you, George, for showing us the way.